Hey everyone, I am Apurupade, a wildlife and nature photographer from India. And today we are talking about a camera that's been getting a lot of attention. The new Nikon Z5II. Ever since it launched in April 2025, photographers looking for a budget-friendly mirrorless option have been super curious about it. So is it worth the hype? And where does it stand next to ZF and Z6III? Now more importantly, who should watch this? If you are just starting out in photography and want a solid camera without spending too much, trying to pick between ZF, Z6III and Z5II, a DSLR user finally thinking of switching to mirrorless, already using something like the Z5, Z6 or Z6II, or wondering if the Z5II plus 180-600mm can replace that classic D500 plus 200-500mm combo, then this video should help you a lot. I will walk you through a field review, compare the specs and give you my honest opinion by the end. So let's get into it. Now look at the release date first. Z5II came out in April 2025. Z6III in June 2024 and ZF in September 2023. So all three are recent models. Now talking about weight, the Z5II is the lightest of the bunch at 700 grams. The ZF is 710 grams. And Z6III is a little chunkier at 760 grams. What I personally liked about the Z5II is it feels very balanced in hand and it has a deeper grip than the ZF and feels compact yet solid. Button placement is mostly consistent with the Z series layout. One cool addition on the Z5II is the picture control button, something we first saw on the Z52. Only these two cameras have a dedicated button for it. Yes, the ZF and Z6III also have picture controls, but you have to dig into the menu to get them. With this button, you can instantly load color recipes, basically like presets, and quickly switch up the look of your image. Super handy when you want a certain vibe without editing later. Now coming to the display and sensor technology, all three models offer a 3.2-inch fully articulating touchscreen with 2.1 million dots resolution. So from the screen point of view, it's a tie. As for sensors, Z5II and ZF both have 24.5 megapixel BSI CMOS sensor, where Z6III has 24.5 megapixel partially stacked sensor. Now what does that mean? The Z6III sensor reads data faster, which helps in high-speed burst shooting and high frame rate video. But the Z5II's switch from the standard CMOS, which was in the original Z5, to BSI CMOS is a big step up, especially for low-light photography. So while Z6III leads in speed, the Z5II still performs very well. Now talking about the processor, all three cameras run on Nikon's Speed 7 processor, the same one powering the flagship Z9 and Z8. That means you get improved autofocus, faster subject tracking, similar menu and image processing capabilities. As for EVFs, Z5II and ZF both have 3.7 million dots EVF, while Z6III has EVF of 5.7 million dots. In fact, this is the highest of any Z camera right now, even more than the Z9. So does it really matter? Yes, it definitely gives you a sharper and more immersive view through the viewfinder, but no, it does not affect your final image quality at all. Now let's talk speed. Z5II and ZF both can shoot maximum at 14 fps in RAW and 30 fps in JPEG, whereas Z6III can shoot 20 fps in RAW, 60 fps in JPEG uncropped and 120 fps in JPEG cropped, that is DX mode. Now Z6III clearly wins in burst rate. Now all three cameras come with free release capture, a feature that starts capturing frames even before you press the shutter. It's a game changer for fast action like wildlife sports or those blink and you miss it moments. Now here's the difference. The Z5II and ZF can capture up to 1 second before the shutter at 30 fps in JPEG. But the Z6III also goes up to 1 second but with a much higher frame rate. 60 fps in JPEG uncropped and even 120 fps in JPEG using DX crop. Perfect if you need that extra edge to catch that extra moment. Moving next to autofocus system and subject detection. All three cameras offer wide area, single point, 3D tracking, subject detection for humans, animals, birds, etc. But here's something interesting. Z5II includes bird detection, while Z6III currently does not. That might change soon as Nikon is known for rolling out frequent firmware updates. For example, the ZF recently got the bird eye detection through one of its latest updates. But right now, Z5II has the edge here. Having said that, I have noticed the Z6III locks focus on birds really well when using animal detection mode. So in real-world use, it does not really fall behind. Moving next to the video features, Z5II and ZF both can shoot HD 120 fps, 4K 30 fps without cropping, 4K 60 fps with cropping, 10-bit in log, while Z6III can shoot 4K 60 fps uncropped, 4K 120 fps cropped and 6K raw. Z5II also allows you to record 12-bit raw video internally, which is something ZF cannot do. Yes, raw video files are large and complex, but having these options open creative possibilities and helps if you are planning to grow into video production. Z6III obviously offers more for professionals with ProRes RAW and in-RAW options. Now let's talk about IBIS, which is in-body image stabilization. Both the Z5II and ZF offer up to 7.5 stops of stabilization, while the Z6III edges ahead slightly with 8 stops. On all three cameras, wear can be linked to the focus point, which gives better results in real-world shooting. So overall, it's a close call. No one is really losing out here. When it comes to low-light performance, all three cameras hold up really well. On one side, we have the classic 24.5 megapixel BSI CMOS sensor of Z5II and ZF, and on the other hand, the partially stacked sensor of the Z6III. To give you a real feel for how they perform, here are some sample raw images shot at high ISO. These are untreated raw files straight out of the camera under similar lighting conditions. You can clearly see the amount of noise each sensor produces at high ISOs. No big difference. Coming to the design, the Z6III features a proper full-size top display. The ZF has a tiny one that only shows the f-stop, and the Z5II skips it altogether. But honestly, after using mirrorless cameras for the past 3 to 4 years, I have never used the top display while shooting in the field. While shooting, you are either looking through the EZF or the rear LCD, where all your info is already right there. Nobody really pauses to glance at the top. So yes, Z6III weighs this round on paper, but in reality it's a match no one actually played. Now here's another point. The number of function buttons on the front of the camera available for customization. Personally, I use this a lot. I have assigned settings like FXX crop, zebra patterns and autofocus area modes to them, and it somehow makes a difference. I can toggle these on the fly without even lifting my eye from the viewfinder. It keeps the workflow smooth and intuitive. When it comes to this, both the Z5II and Z6III offers 2 front function buttons, while the ZF only has 1. Talking about card slots and storage, Z5II has dual UHS-2 SD card slots. ZF has one UHS-2 SD and one basic micro SD, whereas Z6III has one CF Express Type B plus one UHS-2 SD. While I would have loved to see CF Express on the Z5II, it makes sense that the SD card can handle 4K RAW at 30 fps without issues. But I must say, ZF loses a point here because of that micro SD slot. About weather sealing, as you can expect from Nikon, all three cameras Z5II, ZF and Z6III are fully weather shielded. So whether it's rain, snow, dust or humidity, you are safe. Now let's wrap up the comparisons. In Z5II versus ZF, Z5II wins in lighter weight, dedicated picture control button, internal RAW video recording, better card slot setup and more function buttons. Loses in none, except that teeny top display. In Z5II versus Z6III, Z5II wins in lighter weight, bird detection, at least for now, dedicated picture control button, and loses in image quality, burst speed, video resolution and frame rates, and card slot speed. Now coming to the price on the official Nikon India website, the prices are for Z5II almost 1,50,000 rupees. For ZF, it's almost 1,77,000 rupees, and for Z6III, it's 2,18,419 only. So yeah, Z5II gives you a lot for that price. So is the Z5II just a ZF with a new body? Not really. The ZF is more of a retro tribute meant to celebrate Nikon's legacy. Like the classic FM2, it sits in its own category alongside the ZFC. It's stylish, no doubt. The ZF2, on the other hand, fits naturally within Nikon's current Z series, same design language as Z6III, Z8 and Z9. It feels modern, minimal and practical. However, when you compare the specs and price between Z5II and ZF, the Z5II definitely feels like a better deal. Now when you compare to Z6III, yes, that camera is a production powerhouse. Go for it if you need all the extra power and don't mind the price jump. So who's the Z5II for? DSLR users looking to switch, beginners who want serious specs, creators who shoot both photo and video, wildlife and nature photographers on a budget. You get flagship features like bird detection, pre-release capture, raw video, weather sealing and in-body stabilization at a price that truly makes it value for money. In fact, in my journey after the D7000, I relied on the classic Nikon D500 paired with a 200-500mm lens for years, a legendary combo for wildlife. Now, for today's wildlife photographers, the Z5II with the 180-600mm lens makes for a fantastic modern alternative. Alright, that's all from me today. If this helped, feel free to like this video, subscribe for more content and drop your questions in the comments. I would love to hear, would you go for the Z5II, ZF or the Z6III? Until then, happy shooting, stay wild, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.